Welcome back. I'm going to show you flat layers. I just went ahead and cut a square perimeter on her. I feel like flat layers I cut into a square fashion, and I just feel like most of the haircuts that I'm going to show you, convex and concave layers, I usually do those on a round shape. And flat layers, I usually do on a square shape. Graduated layers, I usually do on a triangular shape. I just feel like the shape of the layers usually looks best if it matches the shape of the perimeter. So that's what I'm going to do here, because I had a round shape and I just knew I wasn't going to like the way that it was going to look if I mixed flat layers with it. Okay. So flat layers are exactly what it sounds like. They are flat. You just pull straight out from the head and you're just cutting a box around the client's head. And we're just going to cut. Now, I've got some shorter concave layers in here from earlier, but we're just going to ignore those, and I'm just going to cut this straight out. Okay? Let's see. I probably should turn this way for you to see what I'm doing. Is this better? That's better. Pull straight out. And I can kind of see where that's going to fall. I kind of measure the distance. So it's like, how do you know how far you want it to be? You just eyeball it. You just say, okay, do I want my shortest layer to be there? Am I going to like the way that's going to look? These are really bodybuilding layers. And I'm doing a square. So I'm pulling my guide over to my next section. I'm not over directing any. I'm just pulling to my new section. So I can still see my guide. See how I'm pulling this straight out from the head? Now look, this is the perimeter. Did I just cut a hole? Hopefully I didn't, but I should have dropped that out before I cut. So when I got to this section right here, and I'm cutting this flat layer, I should have dropped out that perimeter to protect it and then cut my layer, okay? That's what you should do. That's a common mistake. But luckily, there's no hole there. Straight out. Straight out. I like standing on this side because for this, see how I have to keep my arm up? I have to keep my elbow up. I have to do that for the flat layers and for the concave layers, all right? Now that I've cut that, I should be able to kind of go in here and see if everything's square. And I've got these little corners that are just a little bit longer here, but that's okay because that's probably from my weak spot. So right here in the middle, I'm able to just kind of look. Everything's pretty straight across, all right? Now, when we get to the front, here's what I'm going to do, okay? There's a couple ways you can do this. I could make this kind of triangular where I kind of make it longer in the front and then I cut it flat on the side over here. So let's do that. And then I'll cut it off, okay? But let's take this length from the back, connect it to the front at an angle, which would technically make this front triangular, right? Okay. But now I've got that. That's going to be my guide, okay? Because the front, that's where it's so easy to make holes. Now I'm going to pull this straight out. Do you see where that perimeter just started falling out and there's these short little pieces here? See how I'm cutting this flat right here? That still makes it a flat layer. And I actually didn't even reach all the way up to my guide if I wanted to. This is still a flat layer, but even if I pull this straight out and I only cut this flat here, that can still be a flat layer, okay? Flat just means you're cutting it, you're not cutting it with a bend, and you're not cutting it with a cave, okay? So there's lots of different ways. No matter which way you do it, I'm cautious to make them too short. I feel like this is real good in the middle, where I've kind of connected the two. So that's how I like to do it. I like to make it a little triangular to preserve length. So I start there. Okay. So look, even though she had this deep side part, I can use that as my guide, connect these two. I must have already had a triangular shape in there. Pull this straight out. Now this is hard for me to do because I'm starting to bend my wrist, okay? So how do I know I have improper body position? When I'm going over and my wrist is getting bent. Improper body position. So I should be standing on this side because now I can ensure, but let me make sure that I'm not cutting into my perimeter. And when I take this flat layer and I lift it up like this, I can still make it flat. And when I'm over directing, what am I doing? I'm preserving the length down here at the perimeter, okay? But I'm still able to give it some body. I'm just gonna pull all this together. Look, we've got a clean, straight across line. Kind of connect those two. Clean, straight across line. Now it's a little angled, but it's all straight across. Okay, that's a flat layer. Pretty simple. Okay, see you on the next lesson.